Reading Friday. And I am getting myself a sweater because it's a little bit cold in here. We are reading today from the Super Attractor deck, which is made up of all kinds of affirmations, which are incredible. And I'm just realizing I probably need my microphone. Oh. All right. Let's start here. A little BTS for you. Where the fuck did that thing go? No, really, guys, where did it go? Do I sit on it? Do I need to take it out? Is it up here? Oh, it's. Wow. Incredible. All right. This thing should be green now. Okay, great. It only took me a solid minute and a half. All right, y'all, it is Free Reading Friday. So if you are on the outside looking in, you can first come, first serve, ask for a reading, and get in line for a card reading this evening. If you need some guidance or you need somebody who is gentle and compassionate to just be like that bestie that's gonna like tell you what you need to hear and do it with so much love and compassion, I'm here for that. Let's fucking do it. Where are you trying to go in life? What do you want to get out of this time in your life, this phase, this period of your life? What do you choose right now? Or have you just not been choosing anything? Have you just kind of felt blown around by the blustery winds of the universe and time itself? I would love to provide you some guidance. So we've got the hi, hello, welcome, welcome. If you would like a card reading, just let me know and I will do a card reading for you. Right now, I'm just showing off the Threads of Fate Shadow Edition and the Super Attractor deck. Hello, welcome. So we are going to be pulling cards from the Threads of Fate Oracle deck, which is going to show all kinds of symbols and messages. And then we are also going to be pulling from the Super Attractor deck because it's got such beautiful affirmations. And as beautiful as this case is, the cards are all just stunning. So I would love to get started. Free Reading Friday, I do every single Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time. And if you want a reading, like I said, it's first come, first serve. Just say that you want a reading and let me know. I would like general guidance, please, please and thank you. Or I would like to know about my love life, please and thank you. Whatever it is you would like for me to read these oracle cards about and give you some guidance, that is what I am here for. It seems there is some confusion in the comments. Do I have Uno? No, I don't. So it is Free Reading Friday. If you would like to get a card reading from me, an oracle or tarot card reading from me, then just let me know in the comments. Say, I would like some guidance, and we can get started with your reading. Otherwise, I'm just going to start pulling cards, and you're just going to, whoever's watching is just going to have to hear what those cards have to say. I'm open to doing general guidance. But if you're here and you would like a reading, then jump on in. Yes, this is working. Okay, great. Just shuffling cards for those of you who are here and watching. Hello, voyeurs. We've got the spiritual alignment, puts my manifestation into motion card. So if you're watching this right now, how are you spiritually misaligned? Do you need to go to the spiritual chiropractor? Do you need to get your soul's spine checked for any kinks or being out of place? Because I'm getting like literal alignment. I'm getting like literal chiropractic alignment where there are kinks in the hose and you have to go through and you have to kind of release them back into the position that they want to be in. And if your spiritual alignment puts your manifestations into motion, then it's kind of like how you have with a hose when you have kinks in a hose. If you don't do your realignment so that the hose is straight again, then the water is not going to flow. The manifestations are not going to flow if you're not going through and pulling out all of those kinks. And when it comes to spiritual kinks, hello, spiritual kinkiness is absolutely like one of those things that blocks our manifestations when we feel shame or we feel guilt or we feel like, ooh, nobody look at me, nobody see me for who I really am. It can be absolutely a nightmare to go into yourself and just, really try hard to really try hard to come back home to yourself after you experience a misalignment that just feels like I can't look at myself the same way again. I can't look in the mirror and see the same person that I thought I was. So, in what way do you need a spiritual chiropractic moment so that you can set your manifestations back in flow? I'm going to pull some more cards because while nobody during Free Reading Friday has asked for a card reading, here I am with cards that are just shooting out of here. Oh, and this is definitely what happens when we need spiritual chiropractic, when we need to get our souls back into alignment. It's the Death card. Raise your hand if you love the Death card. I love the Death card. I love a card that looks really spooky and scary and like sad boy on the outside, but actually has a heart of gold, a tender heart, because death is that weird mushroom that is like kind of a weird texture. It's like life, but it's also like rotting at the same time. And there's something wonderful about thinking of death as the mycelial network that connects all of us because it's underground. We're not thinking about it all the time. We're not seeing the connections that we have through death, through decay, through the rotting in our lives that inevitably happens when we become a new version of ourselves that we need to be for a new situation. You know, you get a new job, you become a new version of yourself. You meet a new person and you develop a relationship with them. You become a new version of yourself. That is death. There is death happening all the time. There is decay happening all the time because you're leaving another version of yourself either behind or you're dragging it like a zombie with you. And I get the sense that if you're watching right now, the spiritual alignment, the spiritual chiropractic that needs to happen is kind of like if you've ever watched Avatar, The Last Airbender. When he works uh, with the chakra guru who like helps him to clear out all of his chakras so that he can go into the avatar state, you see this pool that has all this detritus kind of floating in it, and it's blocking the pools from the water flowing down into each other. And that's the decay and rot that we're talking about. It's spiritual maintenance, it's spiritual gardening, it's paying attention to the I'm realizing right now as I'm doing this reading and I'm looking at myself as though in a mirror, I'm like, oh, this is definitely a reading for me. I love that there are people who have resonated with this. Thank you for the thumbs ups, y'all. But I'm also just like, oh, this is what I love about Free Reading Fridays is that everybody who comes gets something out of it. Everybody who attends and participates and listens gets something out of it. And as long as I'm like listening to all of this right now, I'm like, I hear you. I hear you, Spirit, trying to guide us toward facing the inevitable rotting and decay of versions of ourselves. What if I like this version of myself? What if I like where I'm at right now? What if I don't want to have to change? What if there's no room for change in my life? Well, I would counter with there is room for change in your life if you clear away the rot and the decay. There is room for more in your life, and there is room for change in your life. If you look at the version of yourself that you're clinging to now, and you accept that all of the other versions have shed from you too. And maybe you're grieving because you're so much more connected with your own like cycles of death now that you're like, oh, I'm grieving this version of me that I know has to go, that I know isn't going to make it into the next phase of my life, isn't going to be the me that I need to be for the next phase of my life. And so you're grieving. You're pre-grieving. You might be in pre-grief, you might be in mid-grief, but still, you know, this card is just showing us that you are in mid-grief for a version of yourself that is connected to people you know you need to distance yourself from or reconnect with. Like I said, it's like that mycelial mushroom network where you are connected to so many in ways that you might not even realize. And you're communicating with them with their energy across that network of connection. But also, like, it comes to a point where you have to acknowledge that there are versions of yourself that are connecting more with certain, you know, other pieces of you, because every person that you come across is a piece of you, is a version of you in in some other life. I know it sounds crazy, but even the people that we hate are the people who do the shit that we do that we just don't like about ourselves. And it's hard to admit that we're all connected by the very inevitable fact that we're all different, but we all have one end result, and that's death. and we all die. But we're all dying really small deaths all the time right now. So to be aware of them is, in a way, a healthier version of connecting and reconnecting with people and losing people from your life and moving around and connecting with other versions of you. If that's how you have to see it, then that's how we're going to frame it for you. Is other people around you are other versions of you, and sometimes you need to connect with different ones than you're used to. You got to get out of that best friend network, and you got to like signal to your acquaintances like, hey, there's something that made us connect and we haven't connected deeper. I feel that thing happening now, because we need to see different versions of ourselves in other people and experience a different version of ourselves with those people, so that we know that that version of ourselves is not only possible and alive, but also it gives us the confidence to start building a new version of ourselves with the data that we get from that other relationship, with the data and the connections that we get from being able to be in community with other people who are different from us, but can teach us new things about ourselves, new things about strengths that we wish that we could. Well, they're right there in front of you. Somebody in your life is really intimidating because they tend to have the audacity to speak their mind, and maybe that's why you've put them toward the outside of your inner circles. They're in the outer rings because they intimidate you. But wouldn't it be nice to learn to speak your mind more? Wouldn't it be nice to be around that person more so that you can absorb some of their skills, some of their strengths, some understanding of how they do it? Get curious and get close up with people so that you can develop the kind of life that you want to live out of the sort of mulch that happens when you compost versions of yourself that you don't need anymore. And yeah, it's sad. It's sad to see them go. It's sad to have lived as a version of yourself who you would inevitably have to say goodbye to. It's weird. It feels very like the Matrix and alternate universe-y, just like clone type things where you're creating a new you, creating a new version of yourself. It feels very weird to talk about the self in multiples and to like separate out yourself into different versions. Oh, that's the version that I was when I was in high school. That's the version that I was when I was dating that guy. Oh, that's the version that I was before I started going to therapy. I'm a different version now after I've started going to therapy. That was a different version of me before the accident, after the accident. There are different versions of ourselves that we get to be acquainted with. And it helps to get to know them, but it also helps to like let them go and not get too attached to any one of them. Like develop a love and respect for them, and also uh, create that loving detachment of like, I'm glad that you're here now. Look at you. I get to meet me in this version of my life. And like every relationship I have ever had, we might have to say goodbye one day. And that's going to have to be okay. It sounds weird to practice detachment with yourself, but you have to be able to learn to let go of any version of yourself, even ones that you think are good versions of yourself, because there are going to be times, and maybe now is one of those times, and that's why you need to hear this right now. Maybe there are going to be times when you think your life couldn't get better and you're not sure how it could. And yet, there are some bad things going on, and you don't necessarily love the version of yourself who lets those bad things continue to happen. Even if you think this is a really good life and you can't imagine any other, and this is a really great version of you and you can't imagine any other, the very least that you could do for yourself is say, you know what, even my best version that I've ever known, the best version of me that I have ever been, even them, I would say goodbye to them. If they didn't align with where I want to be, if they were a kink in the hose and there's just something that feels like it's not flowing, if it doesn't feel like it's flowing and like my life force energy is flowing through this version of me and it feels like there are kinks, it's time to let this version go. They might be the best version I've ever known. This might be the best version of me that I've ever created. And yet, I have to let them go. Because that's how I unkink the hose. That's how we get flowing again. I feel pretty complete with this channeled message, and I'm going to thank myself for coming out tonight because I kind of didn't want to. I kind of get dragged down a little bit mentally, emotionally by the block that I feel that forms, like the wall that I feel that forms whenever I think about like being on the internet with fucking people who do shit like this. Do you have Uno? Start digging in your butt, twin. They're just people who like come and uh don't respect what you're doing. They just have their own thing and they treat you like you're not a person because they see so many people online. I don't hate the I don't hate the players, I hate the game. I don't hate people coming and trolling my live videos, which is one of the things that has kept me from coming back to Free Reading Friday. What I hate is a system that has created a worldwide mycelial web and does not regulate how much we see of other people around the world, which is a lot and too much, and couldn't possibly and shouldn't. But also, we're dehumanizing each other by seeing so much of humanity. Like, we're developing compassion fatigue with each other, and it's getting to, I think, even starker levels because we're just seeing too much of each other. Like, we're all just getting too much of each other, and there's a lot of like main character, you're just the NPC type of thinking, even without that language. Even without that language, that concept has always existed. It's called narcissism. It's just narcissistic personality disorder, narcissistic tendencies, that kind of thing. Hi, Ivan. And I think it's it's difficult to put yourself out there and do things for others when there are, you know, that when you go there you're going to have to encounter some kind of confrontation of people who don't consider you a person, don't consider you a real person. I'm just talking about the internet, Ivan. I remember you were in the last live. Hello again. I'm just talking about how the internet is real frustrating because we lose our humanity by being too exposed to other people, too exposed to all the other humans. So we just end up treating each other like shit. And sometimes it makes me not want to show up. I did a reading earlier, and I feel complete for tonight. But I will be back next Friday. I will be back next Friday between 9 and 10 p.m. Eastern time. So I'll see you then. Thank you for joining. I love y'all so much. In spite of the trolls and in spite of the dehumanization of each other, just from trying to connect more. The paradox there. I appreciate y'all. I love you. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.